I'm going to do a walk around of the outside of the RV, making sure everyone knows how everything on the outside works. Then we're going to go on the inside, do the same thing, and then we'll be all set. So right here we have two water inputs. Water for the fresh water tank and the city water connection. For the fresh water tank, there's two ways to run water in the RV. Pulling from the fresh water tank, which is a tank of water that sits around right here in the RV, and hooking up a hose directly to this little nozzle here, hooking up a hose and running water directly from a spigot that you would typically get at a campground. For the fresh water tank, you only need to use that if you do not have access to some sort of running water source, typically, again, what you would get at a campground. When you pull from the freshwater tank, I'll show you when we get inside, but there's a water pump that you have to turn on to be able to pull from the freshwater tank. For the city water connection, when you get to a campground, there's typically in the campsite a spigot of water. We have a hose that we keep in the compartment over there. All you do is you go over, hook up the hose to the spigot, connect then the other end of the hose to this city water connection by twisting it in and turning on the water spigot. And then you're all set, that you have access to water your entire trip until you go to leave, turn off the spigot, pull it out, you're all set. Again, if you don't have access to that water, you pull from the fresh water tank. What we have right here is the plug for the electricity, the electrical connection. To access it, you need to open this by unlocking it. By the way, these are the keys. All these silver keys open, these two silver keys, same exact key, open all of the outdoor compartments on the RV. So once that's open, you pull it up, then you have this plug here. This is a 30 amp plug. Again, at a campground, you will plug this into a input that they have, a plug that they have. Once you plug it in, you will have electricity for your entire trip. No reason to do anything else. If you do not have access to a plug of any sort, you will be pulling electricity from the generator, which sits under here. You will never need to open this up, but in order to pull from the generator, bring the camera over here, and I'll grab it. There's an outlet right in there, and you plug this plug into this outlet, which is actually plugging in into the generator. This outlet is powered by the generator. So when you turn the generator on, you will now have power to everything else. Rear driver's side of the RV with this main outdoor compartment, again using the silver key to unlock this, open it up, and this is where we keep the hose for the water. This is where we keep an outdoor mat, and we keep some other things. This is an adapter for the plug. It's a 30 amp to 15 amp adapter if you want to plug it into your RV into a house or something like that with a normal plug. This outdoor compartment here is for the sewer hose. Store the sewer hose right in there. That's all we keep in there. When you go to use the sewer hose, just unlock it, grab it, bring it around, use the gloves over here, and you'll be all set. You're gonna need to get down in here. The sewer connection is right under here. And these forks hooked onto the sewer hose connect right on here, and you just turn clockwise to connect that. Once those are fully connected, making sure that there's fully sealed here, it's not loose or anything like that. And then it's connected, come over, just stick it in the hole, this out a little bit. What you first do, come around, back around to this side. And pull this little nozzle out first.
Are there more than one handle?
Come around. The second handle on this side and pull this way. And that'll release everything. This is releasing the black tank. So once everything's out, you hear everything go out, go back around, plug in this hole, or plug in this. Push that back in. Back around.
But nothing went out of it yet.
Push that in. Black tank's empty. What you do after that is all you have to do is just pull this second handle out, which releases the gray tank. Once the gray tank's empty, plug it in, and you're good to go. And that's it. Now that we have the door open to the inside of the RV, you go in and look right to the left, and you see these little buttons here. This button right down here, you just click it up, is the main power. That turns on to the batteries, which power the entire inside of the RV. Once you're in here, there's another, if you look up to the right, this little turns on the lights, the inside, and now we're inside. So we come back to the bed back here. You look down here, there's two little buttons there. You see the one that says extend and retract. This pushes out the slide to have access to the bed. So to do that, you just hold extend. You see it begin to move. The key with this is to make sure that even when it's fully extended, when you don't hear it anymore, you're still holding the extend button for another 4 to 5 seconds to make sure that the motors are staying synchronized, and then I let go. And now it's extended. You have more room back here. To retract, same thing. Just make sure that you lift that up and there's nothing blocking those sides when you go to retract the slide. And same thing, just hold down on the retract and it comes in. Making sure that when you also hold retract, again, when you think it's all the way in, you're holding that retract for additional 4 to 5 seconds to make sure that those motors are staying synchronized, and then let go. One thing to note on the slide out is for a few renters, the slide out sometimes doesn't work when you click the button. What I've realized is the culprit is having the engine on, the car engine on, when you go to either retract or extend the slide out. If the car engine is on, it triggers a safety mechanism which cuts off the power to the motors of the slide out. So in other words, do not have the car engine on when you go to work the slide out. If for some reason the slide out does not work when you click the button, you come around to this underneath compartment, to this control panel here, which is a control panel for the slide out. Unplug all of the plugs, wait a few seconds, plug them back in, and it should work fine. That just resets the system. Moving into the bathroom, we have a shower here and the toilet. With the toilet, all you need to do to flush is just hold down this little pedal right there, and that flushes. We have the stove here, which is a gas stove. To turn on the burners, just go to light, spark, pops on. Here's the fridge. Again, when this power is on, right down there, everything in the back of the RV will be on, will work. If that power is not on, nothing will ever work. So here we have the fridge that automatically turns on. If it's not hooked up, if the RV is not hooked up to an electrical connection, it will pull from the propane tank, so it will power via the propane tank. If it is hooked into electrical power, it will work without the propane. This is a control panel in the middle of the RV here. This plug, or this button up here, you hold that, turns on the generator. One thing to note about electrical power in the RV is the battery. So the battery is when you turn on that power down there. The battery of the RV powers 95% of everything in the back of the RV. So the things like the lights, the water, the stove, the slide out, everything in the bathroom, everything besides the microwave, the air conditioner, and any electrical outlets that you see throughout the RV. In order for those three things to work, either the generator needs to be on, or it needs to be plugged in. The 30 amp plug needs to be plugged into an electrical outlet. Again, if you don't have, the first thing you want to do is plug it into an electrical outlet if you have access to that. The second thing, if you do not have that and you need to run those three things, is you turn on the generator. The generator should be turned on as a last resort. There's really no reason to turn on the generator unless you need access to the microwave, those electrical outlets, or the AC, and you do not have access to a plug-in.
Explain that.
To turn on the generator, if you need to turn it on, so over here, you hold down on the stop until that red light pops on, primes it for a few seconds, and to start it, you hold up. You sometimes take a few times, doesn't work, and it pops on. And now the generator is on. Again, you have access to the microwave now, the AC, and any electrical outlets that are inside the RV. Again, if you have access to an electrical plug-in, so plugging in that cord into a 30 amp plug-in at a campsite, there is never a reason to turn on the generator. What you see here is the water pump. So as I was saying before, to have running water in the RV, you can either pull from the fresh water tank, or you plug in the city, or you hook up the hose to the city water connection. If you have the RV hooked up to the city water connection, there is no need to turn on this water pump. The water pump is only there if you are needing to pull from the fresh water tank, if you do not have access to running water through that city water connection. And if you need to pull from the fresh water tank, you just flick it on, the water pump comes on, and then you can pull directly from the fresh water tank. Right here is the water heater. Regardless if you're pulling from the fresh water tank or the city water connection, in order to get hot water, this hot water tank has to be turned on. You just heard it pop on right there. If for some reason it isn't popping on, just turn it off and turn it back on a few times and it should pop on. If not, give me a call and we'll figure it out. But I'd say give yourself 20 to 30 minutes before you need hot water, so say you want to take a shower, turn it on, wait 20 to 30 minutes to allow the water to heat up, and then go take your shower. If you're not needing hot water, make sure this is off, because all you will be doing is just using up propane, and there's no need to do that. What you have up here are all the tank levels. So propane level, battery level, freshwater tank level, black tank, gray tank. Black tank is the stuff that goes down from the toilet. The gray tank is everything that comes, all the water and stuff that comes from the sink and the shower. So those levels right now are empty. For the black tank, I would say make sure that you empty out the black tank every 2 to 3 days if you're using it frequently. You don't want that to back up. Another thing, this is probably obvious, but with the black tank, making sure that if you have the ability to use, if you have to go number 2, if you have the ability to use another bathroom, use that before you use the RV. There's no reason why you can't use the RV for that, but it just cleans, making sure everything stays clean, and there's less chance for backup, less chance for bad smells, and all that sort of stuff. To work the heat and the air conditioning, we come back here to the back, we see this thermostat. Again, making sure that the battery is on and it's plugged in, or the generator's on if you want to use the air conditioner. If you want heat, you flick it over to heat on here. If you need the AC, you can flick it over to cool, and you have your thermostat here to change the temperature. And over here you can change low, high, hot, or whatever. But again, the RV has to be plugged in, or the generator has to be on for that air conditioner to actually work. For the heat, only the battery needs to be on for that to work. We have the TV here. This little control box here is for the DVD player. We have DVDs stored up here. For this, like any normal TV, just turn it on underneath here at the power. It's underneath this button right there. That turns on. If you want to play a DVD, you're making sure that the input is on AV. Change input again from underneath here. Just look for the input. It's the one all the way, the button all the way to the left underneath here. Push until it goes to AV. Once it's there, automatically pop on to AV. Over here, turn that on. If there's a DVD already in there, it'll go on. If you want to change DVDs, just take it out and put any DVD you want in, and then it'll go. And that's it for that. There are compartments all through the RV. Here, underneath there, up there, over here. Put those in there, under there, stuff up here. In here, we keep towels in there. Here we keep sheets and pillows up there for you. And you can use those for whatever you want. Just make sure that any heavy items are on the floor or stored up here, where you can actually clip this little safety thing up there. Now you can store stuff up there. Also right here, we store this up here, is a little privacy screen that hooks up via Velcro around here, all around the front. If you want more privacy, that goes around the front windshield and side windows. For this stovetop, it rattles a lot while you drive, so a fix to that is either putting a water case or a bag or something up here to make sure it's in place, or simply pull it off and store it somewhere so it doesn't make a noise. See, there's an awning out here. Please do not use the awning. It's just a little difficult to use, and it just keeps it from getting messed up and breaking. So please do not use the awning. This outdoor compartment here on the RV that you see back here, make sure that when you're driving, you have this compartment closed and locked. So you push it in good and lock it. Make sure it's nice and firm, locked in there, because you want to make sure that it doesn't fly open while you're driving. So again, make sure this is locked when you go to drive. Battery for the RV is right to the left here. If this is on, everything works. If this is off, nothing works. So make sure when you want to work anything in the back of the RV that this battery right here is turned on. Everything back here will work. Then you go and plug in or turn the generator on. Again, you will then have access to both the microwave, the AC, and any electric connections. If the RV is not plugged in and the generator is not on, but this is on, you will still be able to power anything besides microwave, AC, and any electrical outlets.